guys. In case you don't know who I am, I'm going to be your English teacher. Which is good. It just really good. I got today in the mail the book we're going to be used. And I haven't even opened it yet. There's the teacher's guide. It's like a CD involved in that. Interesting. Okay. I'm recording this a week or so before we have a class, so I can get up to speed on this. I don't know if you noticed my mustache now. This is my Corona mustache. When we had to wear masks, I stopped shaving my mustache. So this is a 2-year-old mustache. Pretty impressive. Now, hopefully we'll have face-to-face classes. Now, I really don't know exactly what is going to be going on with the face-to-face Zoom classes, or even pre-recorded classes like this. I could record a class with a group of assignments, and you'd have to complete the assignments. I really would prefer obviously the face-to-face, because language is all about communication. Right? That is what it is all about. As opposed to other English teachers, I could teach. Obviously, I'm qualified to teach English as my native language, but I have the unique ability of working with non-native speakers, especially in Texas and California. A lot of Spanish speakers. I learned Spanish quite quickly doing that. And if you've been in my classes, you realize your English levels pick up very, very quickly by us just conversing. You know, give me that knife. Kaljuseo, Dolmajuseo, Nembi, Gukcha, all these words. You know, and obviously in class, I use both languages only because running a kitchen is not about grammar. It's not about perfect enunciation. It's all about communication, and I'm going to focus that on this class. This class is going to really be about communication and how we can communicate to get the job done. One of my students, our students, actually, my student, he was my student too, but he's our student, you're a senior. He's at Lotte Hotel up here in Seoul today, and he just got his intern. The French chef's English is not really that good. It's pretty rough. Actually, the student's English is better than the chef's English, but I would never tell the chef that. I mean, he was a very delightful man to meet, fun to talk to. Only because he does not know much about Korea and Korean language and Korean cuisine and the country itself. He was born and raised in Lyon, France, and there's not a lot of Koreans there. Now, as opposed to somebody like me who not only lived in Korea, but I come from New York City, and there's a lot of Koreans there. Matter of fact, the neighborhood that I grew up with is mostly Korean now. My grandmother's neighborhood, Woodside, Queens, Flushing, Queens. Yeah, if anybody has family there, you ask about Flushing, Astoria, or Woodside, Queens. They're gonna go, oh, that's New York's Koreatown. So I mean, I have had at least a little more exposure to Asia than say the French chef. Now, you're used to hearing American English from movies, TVs, classes. And Canadian English is very much like American English, and British English, even though I'm going to just straighten this out a bit. I guess maybe I shouldn't. There we go. A little crooked, I'm sorry. China and Japan used to really focus on British English. And you'll see in some of the English books, and I noticed that because I saw a copy of this before, they have some of the British spelling in there. Once again, in my class, it's really all about the communication part. I'm going to really rely heavy on you guys to speak. I really want you guys to speak. If you're one of my students in one of my classes, it's a big advantage. It's a very big advantage. Your other teachers, most of your teachers, your Korean teachers, ask them if they had employees under them that were non-native speakers, because a lot of the hotels now do hire a lot of non-native Koreans to do, like the Chunso Ajima work, dishwashers. A lot of you people from other countries that are coming to Korea doing that type of work. They do speak English. They don't really speak Korean, so that's going to be the method of communicating with them would be English. And both of you are non-native, so good tea. We've had heavy rain recently, so it's a nice rainy day to. It's raining now. No, it's not raining now. So ask you other teachers, the teachers that you've in your other classes, like when they were chefs of restaurants and hotels. I worked one place. It's actually my first executive chef job. I've had chef jobs before, but a lot of it was line chef, not line cook, but I was a working chef. I would do the menus, the designing, the ordering, everything. But when it came to push time between rush between lunch and dinner, during that 1 hour or 2 hours of rush time, I was on the line working, either expediting or doing work whatever station needed the help. But my first executive chef job was we had 32 full-time employees, which is pretty good, a good size. That's from dishwasher, steward, bakers, line cooks, 2 sous chefs, AM and PM sous chefs. And out of the 32, 30 of them were Mexicans. Well, I should say Hispanics. Hispanic is the term for people that speak Spanish as a first language. Guatemalans, San Salvadorians, Yucatecos, Colombians, not Brazil. Brazil speaks Portuguese, which is just a side note. Portuguese and Spanish are actually very, very different. You could almost say the same difference between North Korean and South Korean, how the differences between those two. There's a lot of the root words that are the same, but then there's a lot of changes. It might even be farther apart. If you speak Spanish, you can understand Italian quite well, but you don't understand Portuguese, which is unusual because Portugal and Spain are right next to each other. But linguistically, they're pretty far apart, where Spain and Italy are far apart culturally, but they do have a more common language. I always encourage you guys to speak second languages. In kitchens, a lot of times, Spanish in North America meaning Canada and United States and Mexico, Spanish is the kitchen language. Most everybody does understand Spanish because that's the people who work there. French is always a good language to know in the kitchen. That's for sure. But usually, I've worked with quite a few French chefs, and all we learned is bad words to say, because they spoke English and they wanted to communicate quite well. So it was important for them not to speak French, to speak English, so we get the job done and do it the way they wanted to do. I suggest you guys, if you have time too, is pick up some Chinese. Chinese is not a bad language to know now. I really think that the Chinese language is going to be a more important, in the future, a more important language in East Asia. I see China can go two ways. China can grow and blossom like a nice flower, just open up nicely, or they can have a lot more problems. They do have their issues there, so it's hard to say. But 1, 2, 3 languages. Languages always meant money. That's another thing I like to tell my students too, is that all throughout history, anybody who could speak a third or fourth language always made money. It's as simple as that. And if you were going to be looking for a job anywhere, in Korea or outside Korea, and you put on your resume that you're proficient, you got to watch my vocabulary too. As once again, I'm not really a full-time English teacher, so I might use words you don't understand. And if I say a word like proficient, and you don't understand it, you go, yes, proficient more like, sure. Proficient means to be skilled in something, right? So if you're proficient in a language, means you're skilled in that language. You're proficient in the kitchen, you're skilled in the kitchen. You're a proficient car driver, you're a good car driver. proficient is a good word. And I might be using some English words that are either maybe not in the book. We'll open up the book and we'll look at it. And then what you can do too is that after the book is posted on the page now, and so's the class syllabus. I didn't print it out. Obviously, I'm home. I don't have a printer at home. Funny enough, I never really did have a printer at home. I do all my work at school just because of the weather. And this is 2 weeks before class. So. And enjoying the last days of my vacation. The weather's actually gotten nicer too, except we're having that storm, which will be interesting to see how big that gets. I know Pusan had a lot worse today than we did. We had a good amount. So the book will be posted on there. You get the book. And then what you probably can do is come back to this video. Because like I said, in a few minutes I'm going to open it up and look through it. And like I said, this is the first time for me looking at this book, so it'll be fun. We'll do it together. It'll be the first time for you guys. Now, I've been after school. Now, that's another idiom. Is this going to be an idiom-filled class? Been after school doesn't mean I stayed after school. That means I've been asking school about letting me have one culinary English class. I wasn't hired as an English teacher. I was hired as a technical chef, hands-on chef. And we have plenty of fine, excellent English teachers. So some good, some like, I guess that was all teachers. Like, some are good, some are not. But most of them are really, really good, and they really do try to help you. But they really don't have the kitchen experience that I have. I understand what the problems are in the kitchen and how to get the job done, as opposed to, teaching you, hi, how are you? I am fine, thank you. And you? Good practice, to get the mouth moving, get that kind of thing. But we're going to go and probably move past that. So, as I said before, I was after school, meaning that I didn't stay after school. I've been chasing school, asking school about, let me have one, hopefully freshman. I don't know who you guys are, which is interesting. No, I don't know what grade level this is, but whatever level it is, I can help you. I can help you learn that. About teaching a class, and I would prefer a freshman in the beginning, because then you come into my class and we can move a lot faster. That's one of the bigger problems that I have with class time, is the first really 2 or 3, maybe even sometimes 4 weeks of, hi, how are you? I'm fine, thank you. And you, just trying to get them motivated to understand what I want done, when we want it done. Now, the recipes, once again, all the recipes I do, I generate my own recipes. Make. You generate electricity. I generate all my own recipes. And they're all ESL recipes. They're all using keywords, very simple English. As a matter of fact, the first class, hopefully first class for meeting face-to-face, I don't even know. But I have this nice little formula on how to make recipes simple. Oh, back to the French chef at the Lotte Hotel. He knows nothing about Korean food. Really, really, really nothing. And he wants to know, like, what is doenjang? How do you make kimchi? What's sundubu? I mean, most people know what dubu is, tofu in English. But sundubu is like, well, what's that? Because that's on the Korean menu at the hotel. He has no idea what it is. He thought it was like a cheese or a cottage cheese or dairy product. So, and then people say, "Oh, bean," and he's like, "Peanut butter beans?" Like he really didn't understand. And my friend, my friend, a student, I could call him my friend at this point. He graduated. That's another thing with you boys. Most of you guys I know for like 6 years. I've known him now 7 years. So yeah, I could consider him not only an ex-student, but a friend. We talk, we chat with each other, we meet each other. We actually meet probably like once a week almost now, because he's up in Seoul. And his family, he's from Busan, so he has all his friends are down there. So, we have a good time together. And he always asks me, like, well, how can I explain sundubu easier? Or how do I explain like something really complex like doenjang? How do you make doenjang? This is the kind of things we're going to talk about in class, because I feel if you go to a large hotel and the chef goes, oh, kimchi is very famous and it's very spicy, I like it, but how do you make it? Monsieur, comment ça va? The kimchi is delicious. Oh, c'est bon. But how? Right? And it is a rather complex thing. And, in simplicity, you take what we call Napa cabbage, sometimes called Chinese cabbage too. Europeans call it Chinese cabbage. America call it Napa cabbage. You just guys call it just betchu, right? As opposed to young betchu, you call it betchu. Right? Split it, wash it, salt it, season it, pack it, game over. I mean, it's simple. It really is very, very simple. Now, there are obviously technical steps. How much salt? How long? What is the seasoning, yam young? What actually goes in there? And obviously, I could ask your mother, your mother, your mother. Everybody has a little different idea of what to put into the yam young. How much garlic, but it's all pretty much in the same family. You're talking gochugaru, which is chili powder. I've seen carrots, which I find really not unusual. Actually, I find it's a good percentage use carrots in that. But garlic, gochu, chenginum sometimes. There's a lot of sometimes of a lot of things that not everybody uses. I had one kimchi that was rolled little fish, little red fish. About that big. Where's the fish? There's a fish. Not those fish, other fish. And they rolled the kimchi and they packed it. The stuff was delicious. Only one person I know that was up in Daegu, and Daegu has its own type of kimchi too. But that was up in Daegu that they did that, and that was I really like that. I like to learn more about that. It seems a little dangerous or risky, raw fish, but if enough salt and everything else, but it did ferment and everything like that. Something more complex, doenjang. You boil the beans, you mash the beans, and we call them soybeans, which I'm not even sure what the guys. In Korea, you guys just call them kong, but I'm sure there's a name for it. But yeah, we call them soybeans. You mash them, then you let it dry. You shape it into meiju. You let it get a kapangya mold on it. Very complex. As opposed, kimchi is very, 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 very simple. Good kimchi is hard. To make bad kimchi is easy. But doenjang is once again really complex. You got a meiju, and then how do you describe meiju? Well, it's a dried, lightly molded block of mashed soybeans. That's pretty complex. It's pretty complex. And then you break it up, put it in salted water, right? Float the egg floats, put it in there, put in the charcoal. It's really complex, Put some fresh gochu in there, charcoal, and water, of course, obviously water. Very complex, very complex. Now, the reason why I know how to do this is that I spent 6 months in a temple, and we did everything. We made dubu, we grew the beans, harvested beans, and made dubu from those beans. So I'm pretty good at Korean food. I know a lot about it, and I should really write a recipe book about it in English. And maybe that's something we could talk about too as a class. How to explain some of this complex Korean stuff. The reason why I talk about this is that if you guys get a job at a hotel or even meet people in the streets, friends, other neighbors, they'll ask you these questions. I want you proficient. One thing we talk about proficient being good enough to explain this to people. To say, oh yeah, this is how this is made. This is how that's made. We make at the temple. We made cheonggukjeong, which I love. I don't know why you guys say it smells bad. It smells delicious. It really, really does. I love the smell of that. But we put it. We basically make the meiju. But what we did, we put it in cloth bags, and we left it inside the room. And Sunim has a bulondo, fire undo. And the room got really, really hot, and that was a very interesting experience because that was my bedroom. That's why I was sleeping with this in there. So I've learned a lot about Korean cooking, more than most, probably more than you guys have made. I've made a lot more. Plus, we made a lot of panchan. Panchan we made too, but panchan, we get sannam up there, durup and things like that we pick in the spring. Really interesting. I would suggest any of you guys, even if you're a Western cooking major, understand Korean cooking. And we'll talk more about that in class. If you've been in my class before, if you're in my basic Western and stuff, I talk a lot about Korean cooking because you have to understand your cooking to understand my food. You have to understand your taste groups to understand my taste groups. If you don't, it's so hard to convey those messages. I always say the blessed five of Korean cooking. I could take 5 items and put it on almost anything, and you'll like it. Manuel, garlic. Pa, green onions. Changiram, sesame oil. The Korean word's easier. Ganjang, soy sauce. And the last one is, did I say gochugaru? Yeah. Let me start again. I'm sorry. I got lost count. Let's just start off with gochugaru, garlic, soy sauce, sesame oil. What am I missing? Garlic, onions. Something very obvious. Well, that's funny. Sorry, guys. Gotta be the 5th one. There are 5 items. Hold on. I gotta go look that up. I have it in my notebook. I'm gonna pause here for a second. I said 5 already. I ran back I looked it up, but then I ran back the tape. I go, no, there is the 5. Soy sauce, chili pepper, garlic, pa, changiram, soy sauce. Those five items. I put that 5 items in anything. You guys would like it. That is the key points. To understand your cuisine is very important. To understand what flavor groups you like. What's another point about Korean food? I ask my students all the time, what is Korean food? And a lot of people say spicy. And I say, well, Thai food spicy, Mexican food spicy, even Spanish, some Italian food spicy. Middle Eastern food can be very, very spicy. Actually, the Egyptian foods and things like that, they can be spicy. So that's not unique. And then people say, well, kimchi. I go, well, kimchi is not, it's an item in Korean cooking, but it's not Korean cooking. You can't define Korean food by saying one item. You can't say American food is pizza. Which, yeah, roughly pizza is American food, not really that Italian anymore, but to say hamburger, that's not defining American food. You can't say, German food is sauerbraten. They have a lot more things with it. So sauerbraten is a pickled beef. Very, very, not common here, but common there. You'd say sausage, I guess, with German food. But if you never had Korean food and you had to describe it, yeah, you would say it's spicy, but a lot of things are spicy. I'd say it's salty, but you guys say, no, it's not. Western food is salty, and we have a different palate about that. So Korean food has been getting sweeter, though, that's for sure. Sugar's showing up in a lot of things. But realistically, Korean food is wet. It's a water-based cooking method. It's mostly steamed or boiled. Where in the Western cooking, we have baking, roasting, broiling, a lot of dry cooking methods, which if you're cooking students, which I think you guys are, we'll talk more about what dry cooking methods, wet cooking methods. And Korean cooking is mostly wet. You steam a lot, you boil a lot, you simmer a lot. Out of focus. Okay. So that's something we're going to talk about too. I'll find out in class when we meet face to face. I'll find out what your majors are, because if I have hotel students too, we're going to have to talk about more like, hello, this is John. Can I help you? Yes, I like to have a room for 2. What day would that be? I think that will be Tuesday the 30th. Let me check. Okay. All right. I mean, that kind of phone conversation, very important for phone people. for hotel type of people. But if you're all cooking students, we can really just focus really on the cooking part. We should talk about front of the house stuff. Front of the house, you guys call the hall. A good chef knows what goes on out there. When I was young and I was a line cook, I could care less. Way to get the food out of here. I didn't care about. But that is actually where the money is made. It is in the hall, and especially things that are a la carte. Hotels are a la carte basically, where the server really needs to sell the dessert, needs to sell the appetizer. It doesn't come automatically with it. We could talk about different menu designs too. There's almost anything we could talk about, and I think that would be a good thing in our class too, is that you guys as students and soon-to-be professionals, if you have questions, you can either contact me through school or through class and ask, like, write down questions like, what's the difference between an a la carte menu and a pre-fee? Cream menus are pre-fee. It's called fixed price in French. Once again, a lot of cooking, I think a lot of these terms are going to be French anyway. So the pre-fee means fixed price. And if you go to a Sam Gupsel place, basically it's a fixed price. You don't get you might pick Moksal or Sam Gupsel, yeah, and you pick quantity because of how many people. That's not really a choice. But you really don't have any other choices. Maybe at the end, maybe you want Naengmyeon or Doenjang Jjigae, but not a lot of choices. That's more like a pre-fee menu, where Western style is a la carte, and true a la carte's hard to find. Some hotels here, what is that? The Interburger Hotel up in Daegu, they have a true a la carte menu, which is you pick side dish, you pick starch, the jumbo, you pick rice or potato, you pick steak or chicken, you pick broccoli or cauliflower. You pick the whole thing. And not many places do that anymore. Elegant places do, very expensive places. But people don't want to pick that much anymore. So what is modified a la carte or American plan is two of those things. If you go to TGIF Fridays, that's a modified American plan, where you might pick soup or salad. Obviously you pick your entree, and you might pick French fries or a baked potato. But there's really not a lot of choices on there. Two reasons for that is that it's easy for the kitchen to prepare a few items, baked potato or French fries, where a true a la carte, you might have 6 choices of potatoes. That's why it's usually on the more expensive restaurants, and hotels would have that, not really the average place. So modified American plan or modified a la carte is really more common in here. It's what you see at all the Western style restaurants. Let's see, anything else you should cover about introduction? Me, which you got probably a lot of guys, you guys probably don't know. I'm from New York, born and raised in New York. I went to culinary. I went to the CIA as a late student. I went when I was 28 years old. Because after I got out of high school, my father said, because I was working, like most Americans, we work in restaurant. Well, we work part-time jobs in high school. It's very common. To our parents, it makes us, and it's true, we work hard. We learn how to work young, work fast, work hard, and understand the value of money. So, but when I got out of high school, my father said, like, no more kitchen work, off you go to school, and I went for computer science, and that was back in the 70s. That was really cutting edge stuff. Realizing I'm not Bill Gates, that's for sure. I wasn't a Bill Gates type of character. I understood the workings of computers and things like that, but I found it a very boring job, and weekends I would work still at restaurants until I got 28 years old, when I realized, well, I better make a decision on what I want to do. And I went back to cooking. I went to cooking school at 28, pretty late. Even though I had a long experience of working in kitchens, actually I was 13 years old, chopping vegetables and washing garbage cans. At 13, I know a lot about when I was young about restaurants. But when I got older, I thought I'd get into a career, but my career was cooking. So it's never too late to change your mind. Florida Dallas, Amsterdam in the Netherlands, California twice, Texas twice, New York 3 times. I worked at a lot of places overseas. Like I said, once again, I went to Amsterdam, worked there for almost 2 years. You guys can go anywhere. Did I think I could work in a restaurant or I could be working in Korea when I was your age? Of course not. When you're my age, you don't know where you're going to be. But what I can say is that cooking and restaurant work is everywhere. Everywhere. So you can get jobs everywhere. And what's going to be the key is language. If you pick up a good amount of English, you can go anywhere in the world and work, from Singapore to Berlin. As long as you have the cooking skills and proficiency, you got to be good at it, and have enough language ability to communicate well in English and be willing to learn. Like, say, if you go to France, be willing to learn French. You know, English is not the answer to everywhere, but it is the answer to Canada, Australia, New Zealand, America. I mean, it's easy to get jobs in those countries with your language ability. But if you want to go overseas to Europe, which I suggest, because by the time you graduate, this corona should be all gone. Okay, let's take a look at the book. I'm sorry, we're running a little late. So, let's see what we got. So we got ourselves a CD, which would be interesting because I don't know if the classrooms... I have a CD player in Busan. I don't have one here. This is another thing about notebooks. I always tell you guys about notebooks, is that, you know, this thing is pretty useless, and there's nothing I can do with it here except use it to put my teacup on. You know what I mean? I don't know what else I can do with it. Of course, I'm not going to do that. I'll be going down to Busan soon enough anyway to set up for class and things like that. 'Cause I've got cooking classes and other things like that. But I'm excited about this class. I'm excited. Now, I assume you guys are going to come with 2 CDs. And there's a thing on the back here of each chapter, or what it is. So I really can't use this right now to tell you if this is good or not. I can't even tell you if this book is good or not yet, but I will do it. Okay, look at it. I have my name on here. Professor John Matthew Delchenko. Thanks for using Career Path. Now, Professor Gill, he recommended this book. He said this was a good book to use. I saw it in his, and like I said, I saw some odd spelling mistakes and stuff like that. So I don't know. You're required to get this book. You should get this book, either ebook or otherwise, because we're going to be using this book for the class plans. Besides the stuff that I will generate myself, I don't know what all this junk is. I'll look at this junk later. It's all about English junk. I don't know. No. What I really want to do is look at the book, and we've got cooking. Let's see, what is that? Not for sale, sample copy. I get a free book. Oh. Okay. Well, my homework is I'm going to be looking at this. This is really small print. One of my favorite points, metric versus imperial. I grew up with cups, quarts, pounds, ounces. I grew up with that. It makes a lot of sense to me. It's actually very easy. And I actually had to learn metric, and metric's easy. It is. Sometimes I mess up CCs or MCs. Just the words I mix up, not necessarily the measurements. And metric, it makes sense. No, it does make sense. And again, we get to that part, I'll be really happy to talk about that. The best thing to remember is, no, hold on, let me get something for you. I'm going to put you on pause. Back. I don't know if you can tell when I pause it or not either. That's for sure. You know what this is. Yeah, you know what that is. It's a shot glass, right? This is the best thing you guys to remember when we talk about imperial or metric. That white line to here is 1 ounce. Very simple. This is 1.5 ounces, 1.5 ounces. 1 ounce is 28.7 milliliters. So 1 ounce is 27.8, which is just 27 or 28 milliliters. Easy enough to remember. Easy enough to visualize. You guys know what a shot glass looks like. And if you see an English recipe and it says, well, 3 ounces of stock, just any kind of liquid, right? 2 of these, that's 3 ounces. 1 ounce, 1.5 ounces. Pretty easy to remember. The reason why the term shot comes from, because I think most of you guys, especially guys in the Army, you shoot a gun. That's where the term comes from. And the shot used to be the gunpowder they would put in. Be 1 ounce. Dun, 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 dun. That was 1 shot. 1 ounce was 1 shot. That's how this came to be a shot glass, because if you're a soldier, you're not going to carry around a glass, but you're going to be carrying around whiskey. And how else are you going to drink it but with your kit, your equipment that you use on your gun. So a little interesting side note, that's for sure. Or even like the blocks of butter. You always see those blocks in school or even the grocery store. You see that. They're 500 grams. Now 550 grams is 1 pound. So those things are basically a 1 pound block. So if you visualize that, somebody says 2 pounds of meat, you think 2 of those blocks. Okay. Pretty much the same. So it does come in handy that way. We have a lot to talk about. That's for sure. This does look based I see a lot of imperial measurements on there. It's funny, imperial is the British term. We say standard measurements in America, because obviously we wouldn't say imperial. Imperial would be a queen. We had a revolution against the imperial family, so we wouldn't do that. Tools. Things like French knife. We call them chef knives in America. Europeans call them French knives. Americans call them chef knives. That's okay. But overall, this looks good. So you're gonna get this. You have to, or you get the ebook too. I don't know how the ebook is. I prefer, obviously, books per se. I mean, if you look at my library at home, let me swing this around. You can see it. Yeah, I like books. I have plenty of books. I got too many books. I pile them up everywhere. So, Leon's sleeping in the bedroom. Ooh, Leon. He's a good boy. So I prefer the books. Maybe I'm old-fashioned, but it's easier to read, especially at night. Oops. Let's swing it down. I don't know what happens. I got that. Using your cell phone to read at night is not a good thing for your brain. It doesn't help you sleep. Books you can take anywhere. You don't need batteries. You don't run out of them. And if we meet face-to-face in class, it'd be very handy to fill in blanks. And write it. It's your book. You write into your book. It is. I'll have to ask other English teachers about how. This is at the bookstore. That's for sure. I got a teacher's guide too. Too bad you guys can't get the teacher's guides, because teacher guides really explain everything in the book. So I don't know why they don't teach with the teacher guide. That's for sure. Before you start, they explain what you should do before you start. Somehow this got really screwed up. Oh, there we go. Tilt you back a bit. Oh, much better. Okay. Obviously, if there's any questions, you can ask. Where am I put mustache? I ordered mustache wax now. It's getting too big. I need to keep it under control. That's going to be about it. I don't know if you guys know Leon. Leon, come here. Say hi to my students. Leon's Chindoke. And everything they say about Chindoke is true. They're loyal, they're smart, stubborn, but wonderful dogs, wonderful dogs. Come here. Come here. Let's go. How would you? Oh, he's stretching. Come here, boy. Come here. Come here, you dopey dog. Look at you, dopey dog. We'll swing this down because you are so cute. Yeah, he's 2 years, almost 3 years old. Oh, he's such a good dog. He has nice teeth. That's it, Chindoke, if you ever seen one. All right, you a savage animal? You're a savage. I give him his country boy collar because he's a country boy, country dog. He speaks 2 languages. Anja. Let's see. Anja. Son. Son. Come on, son. Oh, yeah. Oh, I can do it in English. He understands both languages, so if he understands 2, you shall. I'm keeping you awake. I'm sorry. Good night. These wonderful dogs. Wonderful dogs. Chindokes are definitely, they're actually a national treasure, number 53, which is interesting that they are a national treasure. He's a house dog. He sleeps in the house. He eats in the house. He goes outside. He doesn't go bathroom in the house. He goes outside. It's amazing how clean they are. They're very clean animals too. He will not go to the bathroom in the same place twice, which makes a problem because we have a backyard and he doesn't want to go out there because that's his backyard. He wants to keep it clean, so he goes out for a walk. Okay. If there's any questions, you can ask school. Like I said, this is a fairly new thing for me. I mean, obviously, almost all my classes are kind of English-orientated classes, but my cooking classes are more results-orientated. I don't really expect you guys to understand, to speak English very well in class. I just want you to communicate. And I think I'm going to carry that through to this class too, is that communication is the most important part of our industry. If I could communicate to you how to make this recipe, then we're well ahead. Leo went to work. He has a job, believe it or not. My dog has a job. Let me see if I can zoom it in on him. He looks out the window. Focus. There he is. You see, I can barely see him because he's white on white. But yeah, his job is to work out at the window, make sure nobody steals my tomatoes. So, at Hobach, really great Hobach this year. That's for sure. Okay, that's a wrap. I'll see you guys either. I gotta put you back because it's difficult. There we go. Face to face, I hope. Zoom, I think would be a useful tool. Pre-recorded might be the best to do in the beginning, because then I can do page by page, read, listen and repeat. Do that kind of thing, where I'll say something, you say it over, and listen and repeat. So I might pre-record some pages or chapters. Even if we do face-to-face, I might do some just online content for you guys to go back to. I know a lot of times you guys say, I don't really want to learn English. I don't want anything. Almost all the people that I know, people meaning like ex-students, the ones that went on intern, ones that are working in hotels, they wish they studied more English because all of a sudden they're working with an Italian chef whose English is horrible. So you have to be better than them. So I think that's going to be an important thing you guys to remember, is that you are students now. You won't be students forever. And a lot of my students, almost all of them, wish they were students again because they enjoyed the time they had in class. So once again, it's schools. It's not it's a thing to enjoy. It's something important part of your life. Homework. I don't see much homework in this class. I'll look in this book and see what they suggest in homework. But I'll definitely have you guys pre-read chapters so we get into there. We can move a little faster because I do want to go fast. I do want you guys to understand and pick up things a little quicker. And once again, you You guys are the students. You're the ones who have to do the learning. I can only present the material. You're going to have the will and the want to study. So I don't see why not. I don't see why. Why not? We can't have a lot of fun in this class either. Demographic means basically who. Demographically, I don't know if you're going to be cooking students or you're going to be hotel students or a mixture of both. If you're going to be cooking students or you're Western cooking or East Oriental cooking, I don't know. Once again, we'll find out more of that when we are face to face. So we can tailor this to what I think you guys are going to need. If mostly hotel students, we'll focus on that. Or even, I can even split the classes in certain ways, I think. Depending on how many students are in the class. If it's a big class, face-to-face might have to be split. And if it is split, we'll split hotel and cooking students. So basically, everybody gets to learn something. But the hotel students need to know the back of the house. They need to know the kitchen language just as well. So as you guys in the back of the house need to know the front of the house language as well, too. Especially if you become a chef, because there's a lot of things that I learned through my life that when I became an executive chef, I could go into the dining room and look at that and go, listen, we gotta fix this. This is not right. The service is not right. Just from experience. Like I say, talk to the other teachers about their work experience and how much they worked in hotels or restaurants and how much you learn on the job. And you learn a tremendous amount. School can only present the material to you, but when you're working for a paycheck, you have to perform, and that's really, really important. And my goal, and YSU's goal too, is to get you ready for this, get you ready to be a professional. So please, study hard, work hard, be safe, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. Okay? Leon's busy. I'll leave him there. Once again, take care and thank you very much.